Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to share with you what causes the rise of the self help fight club red pill community. And in the end of this video, and it should be like 8 minutes long or something like that, I'm going to share with you the 4 ways that I've implemented to correct this. So let me tell you a story. I was watching a clip, or it was brought to my attention this clip of one of those man groups where they get yelled at. It's like all militaristic and drill instructors. And I spent a lot of time thinking about that this morning. And the red pill community and the manosphere and all these self-help kind of communities, right? It's the modern era of YouTube, kind of making like little huddles of kind of Tony Robbins self help groups of like, hey, this is what men need. And I was thinking, what causes the rise of that? So today we're going to talk about what caused the rise and then 4 ways that hopefully we can correct it. So watching that clip brought to my attention, what is the cause? What is the cause of all this? And some of it's a whole bunch of BS. Like some of it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like go in, hey, we're going to get into an octagon, we're going to do this, we're going to sit through a bunch of seminars, or hey, we're going to sit through a bunch of seminars and we're going to take ice baths, and then a bunch of guys are going to strap on boxing gloves and fight each other, and they're going to get yelled at by drill instructors and have to do push-ups the whole time and be demeaned. Like what? Like what's going on? And it came to my attention that this failure and what guys are really striving for, and in Fight Club in general, that's a book of like striving for meaning in life, and not having meaning and trying to find meaning somewhere. The same thing goes for the self help and the conferences and the activities. So what caused this? And how come this didn't exist before? Because you could bet, and I'd say 100%, this is the after effect of the advent of kind of the World War II, like that generation, right? That generation didn't have a whole bunch of self help gurus and fight clubs and things, trials that they wanted to try to put themselves through to feel more capable of as men. Like it just didn't exist. But then, that boomer generation and then our generation, the generations past, like it all just like it blew up like a nuclear bomb. It's everywhere. If you went to, and I haven't been into like a Barnes and Noble or anything forever, but the last time I went in, there's rows and rows and rows of self-help books. Some directed at men, some directed at women, some directed for whatever kind of little thing you got going on. There's a self-help book for that. And it's strange, and it gets you thinking, so why never existed before, now it exists. I mean, the first self-help book you could say was maybe How to Win Friends and Influence People or something like that, right? That was your kind of your quote, like bursting onto the market, the Dale Carnegie book. So let's talk about that. So what caused the rise of this community? Surprisingly, and it's gonna like hit you like a ton of bricks when I say it, the cause was the failure of men and fathers over the past 2 generations, right? So in our culture, the self-help culture, here's what occurred. I got some notes up here, so just bear with me. So think about it this way: how did men lead before? They learned and they led through other men, fathers, uncles, friends, and they did hard stuff: hunting, farming, fishing, repairing cars or whatever it might be, or things around the house, building things, putting things together, constructing, farming, hunting, raising cattle. Those are hard things. And guess what? When you do them with other men, you learn from other men, like how men act. So right now we're in this vacuum of YouTube and our culture of like, typing on the keyboard and doing sales jobs and there's nothing wrong with that, but there becomes something very, very wrong with that when there's not, a for a lot of you young men, a masculine figure in the house and close knit community. Now our communities are all broken up, right? Your uncle lives here, and your other uncle lives over here. Your father maybe doesn't even live in the house. Like that's like, how do you learn? And plus, your father didn't learn from his father, so how is he supposed to teach you? So then we blow up into the manosphere and the red pill. So let me say this about the red pill. The red pill is a reaction to kind of a crisis in femininity, right? That's the way I see it. And if you really, really think about it very deeply, that red pill community, the femininity crisis spurred the red pill community to say, the women are now setting the operating procedures. Thus, we're going to work inside, quote unquote, their framework of these operating procedures. So that's what it's manipulating the system that wasn't even built by them. Do you understand? Like it doesn't make a lot of sense, that community. Like, can some of it help you or point you in the right direction? Yeah, probably. Is all of it bad? No. Is some of it really, really toxic and terrible? Yeah, it's filled with that machismo type of masculinity, which is not real. It's not real masculinity. So what does it mean that men are yearning for this? It means the failure of the father, the culture of impurity, the impure culture, right at our fingertips and magazines everywhere. A modern femininity crisis, machismo, and men basically don't know how to be men or to be fathers or husbands because no one taught them. And men don't learn by teaching, right? They learn by doing. So I'll give you, some of these examples, right? I can teach you now, and that's what I think all of this man community is trying to do, is trying to teach, but you really need to go out there and do things. So the rise of the red pill, that's all operating within the framework of that femininity crisis in modern culture, and it's working inside of a broken system. It's not working to correct the broken system, which is what everybody needs to do. What we men need to do of this generation. We need to look back to the past, like probably 3 generations ago. Now, the funny thing about the whole situation is it's probably only been, I mean, for some of you guys, maybe it's been like, 3 generations removed from the kind of World War II generation. But for the most part, it's 2 or 3 generations. So 2 or 3 generations, everything's gotten lost. Everything got utilitarian, modernized, broken up, families dispersed throughout. That means men are dispersed throughout. Families got very, very small, very, very quickly. My grandmother was one of 13. So families got broken up and removed. And the one of 13, they all lived close together. And they were raised all in the same apartment building in Long Island City, right? And you could say, oh, that's like modern culture. The parents are going off to work or the father is going off to work at a factory job. But guess what? The whole family unit was still together or even within a couple of blocks of each other. So men could learn from other men. And pretty important too, women could learn from other women as well. So we've seen a huge loss of men yearning, and that's what that yearning is coming from, to do those things. Let's go in the ice bath. Let's put on the boxing gloves. So what does this say about our culture? That yearning says a couple things. So first, I'm going to read a quick blurb from D. Re Military on the selection of troops. So every country produces both brave men and cowards, but it is equally certain that some nations are naturally more warlike than others. This depends upon greatly of different climates. And this is from Vegetarius and De Re Militari. So we're talking about the selection of troops, right? Selection of how men select other men. So they're going through this selection of troops. No one, I can imagine, can doubt that the peasants are the most fit to carry the arms, since they, from childhood, have been exposed to all kinds of weather and have been brought up to do the hardest labor. They are able to endure the greatest heat of the sun. They are unacquainted with the use of baths, and they are strangers to other luxuries of life. When you become a stranger to other luxuries of life and you do hard things with other men, it forms your character. You're also seeing the parenting of those other men and how they rear their children, how they run their households, how they carry themselves as men. The good and the bad, you get to see it in real time. In our disconnected culture, we're not able to see that with our, our kind of quote unquote father figures all removed, and most of them operating in a totally different mindset, in a totally different, quote unquote frame, right? They're operating in a modern sense, like a consumeristic, utilitarian sense, and it doesn't vibe well inside the modern. It doesn't vibe well for men, this modern sense of being disconnected, because men do things together, right? We go hunting together, we do things, we repair things together, we don't talk, we do it via the activity that's getting done. All right, so what does this say? So this could be for another video, because I think YouTube limits me to like 12 minutes or something because my channel's new. So I'll just put up a quick part 2, and we'll talk about what does this say about our state and how we can start to correct it.